Welcome. Sorry, radio people. I was didn't get my button hit just right. Hey, everybody, welcome. This is Jason Clemmons, Doctor of Chiropractic at the Rock Health and Wellness Center, and this is Life coming to you right here from the Rock Health and Wellness Center studios on this beautiful Friday night, September the 6th. Sorry, September the 6th. Bit my tongue right there. Hey, I'm really ready for this show. I'm fired up about this show. Got to get this thing going right. I hope all you guys had a great day. I hope you had a great week. Hope you're ready for the weekend. I don't know what you do with all this free time, at the end of the week. I know everybody's excited about getting back to Monday. And I know that this Friday blues is hitting you and you're just thinking, dadgummit, what am I going to do with this weekend when I can't wait to get back to work on Monday and make a difference in the world? So I know that's what you're probably thinking. That's what I'm usually thinking on the weekend, but I don't have to worry about it because I've got another full day scheduled all day long of learning about brain mapping and neurofeedback, and I'm so excited about it. We did that starting since 7:30 this morning. I've been in an online seminar. We got to talk some more about the brain, and man, I'm telling you, every time I talk about the brain, I just get more fired up and more fired up. It's so cool to study. There's so much there. It's just so amazing. It's just one of the most amazing. It is the most amazing system in the universe. It's just, man, what is going on between your ears? What's going on between all of our ears is crazy. It's crazy what's happening in there, and we don't ever learn it. Nobody ever tells us. No, we don't get taught the appreciation for just our brain. One of the statements made today was there's more capacity in one neuron in the brain than there is in any computer you can find. Like you've got one neuron in the brain has more capacity than your computer. I got 3 computers in this office. I got a laptop. I got my one that right here on the desk, about one on the other desk. And just think about that. Like one neuron, and you've got, I don't know, a bunch of neurons in your brain. I think what we say last night, 30 billion. I can't even remember what we said. I did say something last night. I misspoke, and I guess maybe out of my excitement, I misspoke. We were talking about the layers yesterday, and the technical people might get fussy about that. There's 6 layers inside the cortex that of different kind of nerves. That's not what I meant. I just meant that when you look at it through the microscope and the picture we looked at, you see so many, there's so many neurons in your brain that they're just layered. There's millions of neurons in every layer. So that's what I was talking about. It was just like so many different layers, but I kind of misspoke, and I wanted to correct that tonight. But it was great. It was good stuff. I can't wait. It's only this day 2 of 8 days of this training that I'm doing. And we bought the neurofeedback stuff last year. We've been working with it, and we've had some really cool results so far with it. So, but now I'm just getting a deeper understanding of it, and I'm super excited about it. I can't wait to make it more about what we're doing in our practice. So that was what we did yesterday, and we'll start again tomorrow morning at 7:30, and we'll do some more of that training, and it'll last until 5, I think, tomorrow afternoon. So we're going to have to figure out how to watch these football games. We might have to turn the TV on in here and get the TV going and turn it down while we're studying brain. So, but no, it's been great. It's been fantastic, and so that's that. It's fun to watch Patrick Mahomes last night, the Kansas City Chiefs, and he's a Texas Tech Red Raider quarterback. As you guys know, they held him off right there at the end. That came down to just an inch. The difference in tying that game up at the end was an inch. And sometimes it's really funny because that's the difference between winners and losers. Sometimes is just 1 inch. Same thing happened in the All-American Fraternity last week on Monday. Came down to just about a head, I think, between the first and second place horse, and that was about $1.5 million difference or something like that. So there's a lot that goes on to when you're competing. And when, that's kind of what we're doing. We're kind of trying to compete, and we're trying to compete every night. We're trying to really get into health. And one of the things I was listening to the intro um, coming in on the radio. For all you guys on 98.7 Walk by Faith and 1420 AM Lubbock Christian Nation, you guys that are out there on the Walk by Faith Facebook page, you're out there on 987radio.com. I appreciate you guys. And of course, all you guys that are watching our social media, I appreciate you guys too. But I was listening to the intro and it says, what do you want from life? Right? What would you do with it? What would you do if you were as good as you could be? And what do you want out of life? Are you getting out of life what you want? I was listening to some guy talk last night, and I was just thinking about that. Are you getting what you want out of life? Not so much what I want to talk about, because I just love talking about this same stuff over and over again, right? And just studying it deeper. Because every time I see it, Patrick Mahomes made a statement last night in his pregame interview. He said, there's not a defense I haven't seen now. I've been in the league long enough, and I've been playing quarterback long enough, and now I've seen it all. And it's kind of cool that he said that, but when he sees it, he's seeing it again for the first time, and he's having to make adjustments on the move really quickly. And so that's kind of the way that I look at when we break down a lot of these articles and we break down the conversations that we had last night about, biochemistry and omega-6s and omega-3s and decreasing your inflammation. I get a kick out of it and enjoy it so much because, man, I don't know how many times I've seen those same articles and talked about that same stuff, but it just keeps layering my understanding of health. And I know that you guys don't have time for that. You don't have time to be layering your understanding of health at the same level that I do. I'm not saying it's not important to you. It is important to you, but I'm guessing that you guys have other things to do. Like y'all, I'm hoping somebody is doing some stuff out there. I tell my grocery store people all the time, hey, don't stress out. As long as that grocery store is full of food, you're doing a good job. And so, that's something that I know you guys are out there, raising kids and being grandparents and running the banks and running the schools and teaching the kids and doing all the stuff. All my teachers came in yesterday. I had that little hour that I got to adjust, and I had 3 teachers come in, and I said, hey, did you teach the kids something today? And they were like, yep, we tried. I'm like, you're making the world a better place, man. That's what I'm talking about. You're out there teaching, you're making the world a better place. And what are we doing here? We're trying to make the world a better place by studying the living heck out of health and wellness and then bringing it to you so you can solve your problems, right? What are your problems? What things are bugging you about your health? That's what you want to know, right? I mean, I'm guessing like you want to know, how do I make my life better quickly? How do I make my life better quickly so that I can get on with it? Because I got other things I want to do. I want to be a wife. I want to be a husband. I want to be a dad or a mom. I want to get out there and work and I want to be a grandma. If you're grandma and you're watching the show, right? You don't want to know 1,000 layers of fish oil, 1,000 layers of fish oil. I'm sure you just want to quickly know, what can I do to make my life better? And that's what we're trying to bring to. We're trying to solve your problems, your health and wellness problems. And we're trying to solve them as quickly as we can and give you enough information so that you're confident in doing what you're doing. Because being unconfident will drive you into all kinds of different directions these days. Because there's so much data. There's so much information. There's so many things that people get themselves into. And there's so many people. I was going to get some coffee this morning on my way to get up here to get ready. I got here about 7, so it was about 6:45. I left the house and I went to Starbucks and got a coffee. And I was driving down Milwaukee here in Lubbock, and it's a busy street with a lot of businesses in it. And I was just looking, there wasn't many people out, and I was just kind of looking from side to side, and all the businesses were closed mostly. And I was looking at the signs, and I was looking at the businesses, and I was just thinking about how many of them are anti-health businesses? And a lot of them, right? Brahms is across the street. And I was like, man, I take care of a girl that works at Brahms. And it's like, what would we do if nobody ate ice cream? I know you're probably thinking, what in the heck, right? If nobody ate ice cream, then the ice cream stores would go out of business, and then those people wouldn't have a job, and they wouldn't have any money, and well, that would be bad. And it'd be like, no, I really think what I thought about 200 yards on down the road is I thought what they'd probably do is come up with something that people would spend their money for. They just wouldn't be able to do those things in those realms. It's Mexican food places and there's food places, there was dessert places, there was just stuff, pizza places, all kinds of stuff just on the street. And I just thought to myself, it's like, man, what if we just had a different way of living? And I know I'm not ever going to accomplish that. I'm not ever going to solve that problem because it's not important to people. So what is important to people? What's important to you? What problem can we solve for you? Because I think what you want is you want to know, number one, what should I do and what can I do the easiest? And then how can I just be confident in knowing what I'm doing? And maybe some of this will help you do those things. And that's why I think we study inflammation so much. We study inflammation and nutrition and exercise and what it leads to in dementia and Alzheimer's and cognitive decline and all that sort of thing. Well, like one of the conversations we had today during the seminar was one of the ladies was talking about the neurofeedback that she does and how she had a person come in who was being treated by a psychiatrist, and this person was on whatever medication. I don't remember exactly what medication she said, but she's talking about this particular person was under the care of the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist had put this patient on some antidepressant, anti-anxiety, anti-schizophrenic, I don't know, whatever the patient's anti-drug of choice was to address that problem. And then the client wanted to do neurofeedback. And so the client went and started doing neurofeedback with the lady that was on the call, and really had great improvements with their depression. I don't remember exactly. I think it was depression. And they had great improvements with their depression or anxiety. And the psychiatrist got mad at this person for doing this treatment. She's some sort of nurse that has this neurofeedback practice. And she said she got mad at her and threw a fit about it and said, "You're taking money out of my pocket. You're taking money away from me by doing the work that you're doing." And I thought, man, what an interesting situation to be in right there. Because I thought, man, that is, I don't know, like, are there legal repercussions against that? Like, is there some sort of, I'm sure some lawyer could get involved, and that would be some sort of problem for somebody. Like is making you healthier and taking money out of sick care people's pocket and drug companies' pocket and bad food companies' pocket, is that something that causes problems out there? Man, because wow, what an interesting problem to have. If that's actually true, then I hope it's not. I hope it's not, because that's pretty much what we're doing every day in the health and wellness world. We're trying to take money out of the pockets of the people that cause ill health and help you spend your money on things that you want to spend your money on, that you don't have to spend your money on health. It's like I told one of my patients today. I think she was upset because she was late to her appointment last week sometime. She'd kind of forgotten about her, maybe it's 2 weeks ago. She had forgotten about her appointment, and she's a nurse, and I love this girl to death. She's rather new to our practice, but she's a nurse, and she was a little bit late to her appointment, and she was so apologetic for being late. And Leslie sent her a text, and then she ended up making it over here, and she was so apologetic for not coming in on time. And I was like, it's okay. I said, don't worry about it. The Rock Health and Wellness Center is a stress-free facility. We don't worry about stuff like that. If you're a punk, we'll just run you off in the beginning. We won't worry about that. We want you to come here. This is your wellness facility. This is your place that you come to stay well. That's what we're doing here. And I don't wear a white coat. We don't have files in the door and like all that sort of thing. I was like, that's not the kind of practice. That's not the kind of practice that we run. And she was carrying that forward. So when she came in, she was still worried. She's like, I'm here on time. And I said, girl, this is 2 weeks now. I was like, you're still worried about that. I said, let that go. Let that go. That's not the kind of doctor's office this is. I appreciate you. I'm glad you're conscientious. I'm glad you care about it. I'm glad you felt, like, you were disappointed in yourself, whatever. Just leave it. Leave it back there. Let it go. Let's go on forward. I'm not worried about you being late. You didn't mean to do that. It was an accident. And plus, if you're feeling that awesome that you're forgetting about me, then we're moving forward with your care. Because I said, how are you feeling today? And she said, I'm actually feeling really good. And I said, well, that's fantastic. That's what we want you to be feeling. If you're feeling really good, then we're moving towards health, right? That's an early start. It's an early start towards health. We still have structural issues. We still have right eye stuff we're going to correct. We still have right brain, left brain stuff we want to correct. And so that's what wellness care is all about. So speaking of right brain, left brain, I just want to show a quick picture to you guys because this was and I just got this off the internet, so I don't know who it belongs to. I just Googled it, and it just showed up. But there's a couple of different pictures, and one of the conversations we had today was about the nucleus of a nerve cell, and the nucleus of a nerve cell having a copy of your DNA. And remember what we talked about on the show a couple of weeks ago when we did the whole genetics talk and we did the epigenetics talk, and we talked about the nerve cell having a copy of your DNA, which is those two sets of chromosomes, one you got from your mom and one you got from your dad. And remember, every cell in your body has a copy of everything. Well, I think this is a true confession for me. I think today was the first time that the way that the presenter said it today, I think today was the first time that I realized your nerve cells have a copy of every single cell in your body. That's a dramatic pause right there, right? Wait a second. Okay, let's think about this. You were born from a sperm and an egg meeting together. Like a sperm cell and an egg cell met, and they fused into one cell. And that one cell had all the copy of your DNA in it. That one cell did. Okay? Then that one cell divided, and you had two separate cells. And those two separate cells had the complete copy of your DNA. They had a nucleus. Inside the nucleus, they had your DNA. They had your chromosomes from your mom, your chromosomes from your dad. They had the two sets. They had the whole thing, right? Those two cells divided again and became 4 cells. And they had the copy of everything. Okay, let's fast forward because we'll be here for a long time if we don't get that broken down. But let's just fast forward. And then on day 13, they start to differentiate. Remember, some of them become skin cells, and some of them become bone cells, and some of them become muscle cells, and some become fat cells. And pretty soon, your liver gets developed. And your spleen gets developed. And your pancreas gets developed. All from that same set of cells. from that same set of cells, from that same DNA that came from that one individual cells that came from the sperm and the egg cell meeting. That that all is in that DNA copy is in every single cell. The same DNA copy that's in your liver is in your stomach. It's in your big toe. It's in your elbow, and it's in your brain. And today, for the very first time, and you would think I would have thought of this before, but sometimes it just takes me a long time before it really hits me. I looked at that picture of that nerve cell with that mitochondria around that nerve cell. That's what these little pieces are. You guys can't see it on the radio, but there's your mitochondria right there, right? There's the mitochondria inside that nerve cell. There's the nucleus. There's the copy of the DNA inside of there, right? That nerve cell that has more power than your computer, that one particular nerve cell that has more power than your computer, and you've got a billion nerve cells. I don't even know what the total number, 30 billion. What did we say yesterday? We said there was a bunch, right? I think it was 30 billion. And if you've got more power in that one single nerve cell, and that cell makes RNA, that cell responds to epigenetics. And what the doctor said today was that some of the epigenetics of your dad and some of the epigenetics of your grandpa gets encoded into those RNA, gets encoded into the response of the cell in the brain. I was just thinking about it today from that standpoint. I was thinking about how amazing that is, that maybe my brain cells that have that much capacity can read the map of my liver and say, I wonder, hey, all right, we need to do this for the liver. If they have the capacity to read the map of my big toe, they say, all right, here's the bone, here's the ligament, here's the muscle, here's the cartilage, here's all the stuff in the big toe. I need to map all that stuff out. I'm getting signals from the body. I'm getting signals from the gut. And the gut, I need to, whoa, okay, wait a minute. I think I need to go inside this DNA. I need to go inside this nucleus. I need to take that signal that I'm getting from my body, those 3 trillion bits of information that's going from my body into my brain, those afferent pathways of nerves that are firing into my brain. Maybe my brain cells that have that much capacity are reading the map of my entire body and responding to with mRNA and proteins and all of those amazing things that go on inside a cell, and then are making responses to that and setting my body in order by reading the manual of what's going on in my body. That was amazing. I thought it was amazing. You guys might not think it's amazing, but I thought it was just amazing. I thought, man, wow. So, because the next thing I thought of was, wait, is that how it works? Is that what's going on inside that nucleus? Is that brain cell actually reading the neurological impulse that's coming from my body, the muscles in my chest, the blood, the bones, the ligaments, all of these pieces of information that's coming from my body? Is that nerve cell actually taking that piece of information and processing it more than what my computer can do? That one nerve cell, does it have the capacity to say, oh, that came from the liver, and then go in there and say, what's the code for the liver? But what exactly is going on down there in the liver? Let me look and see what exactly is happening. What should be happening in the liver? I think I'll just read the code of the liver. Yeah, I think I need to make this protein. I think I need to respond in this manner. I think I need to communicate with the cell next to me that has the same capacity as another computer and another computer. Think about having 30 billion computers inside your head. And then all of a sudden, think about the capacity of what that can do, right? And then what would it matter about what I fed that brain? What difference would it make? What difference is one of the sentences that was said today was myelination is expensive. Myelination is expensive. And the brain is going to create myelination when it has to send signals for long distances, which makes me want to look at this picture right here, which is going to blow your mind. Look at that. Got it off the internet. Don't know who it belongs to. I'll give credit to whoever it is. But look at that right there. You know what that is? That's the corpus callosum mostly. That corpus callosum that we talk about, that communication from the right hemisphere to the left hemisphere. Like that right there. Holy cow, look at that. Like I was thinking to myself, you just see it on a picture, and it's just like the corpus callosum, and it's just like this little, just like like two-dimensional picture on a page. And then all of a sudden you look at that and you're like, wait a minute. That's how my right hemisphere sends information to my left hemisphere. And the point on my right side and the point on my left side that's getting information through my corpus callosum is identical. It matches up. So when my right side wants to tell my left side what's going on, right through those nerves. And myelination is expensive. And the brain has to determine, am I going to spend this much energy to myelinate those cells? Am I going to spend this much energy to actually keep that cell healthy? Well, how much money would you spend if you won the Powerball or the Mega Millions for $741 million? That's what the Mega Millions was this week, right? How much money would you spend if your bank account had $4 in it today? If you had $4 in your bank account, would you go eat some steaks tonight? Maybe not. Hey, we got to take a break. I'll be right back. Hang with me. We'll be right back right after these messages. You guys can see it, right? You guys can see it. And if you just think about it, just like that's just parts of the nerves. That's just part of the neurons in the brain that they could figure out a way that they could color. And that's the communication. Here's another picture of it. This picture right here will blow your mind too. Look at this bad boy right there. Yeah. Like look at that communication signal flying from both sides of your brain. This was on the internet. I just Googled it, looked at it. Whoever it belongs to, I'm giving you credit for it, right? That's what's happening. That's the wiring system that's happening in the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere. That's where you learn to function in the world. That's where you learn to orient yourself and keep yourself firing, keep your brain working, move your feet, right? Move your feet and light up those pictures right there. Like make all of those brain synapses work to your advantage. Make all of that stuff work in a way that makes you smarter, that makes you healthier. A healthy brain is a healthy life. And then what do we do? How do we feed it? What is important to us right there? Right? Is it now how about peanut oil? How about French fries? How about fish oil? Do you think it makes any difference? You think it makes any difference to those nerve cells inside your brain when you feed them processed crap? What are you going to have for supper tonight? What's on the menu? What'd you have for breakfast? What's on the menu? What'd you have for lunch? What'd you drink today? You drinking alcohol tonight? Are you going out with your friends and having a bottle of wine? Are you going to go out? It's Friday night. Got to cut loose. You got to get this week behind you, right? Are we going to do that tonight? Are we going to drown ourselves in our sorrows when we have the most amazing system in the universe right between our ears? Like, are we going to do that? Man, why would we do that? Why wouldn't we take a second and just think to myself, you mean to tell me if I was to feed my brain properly and exercise my body properly and get some sleep that I might just explode those neurons to the point where like they take me to this level of consciousness that is like above what is walking around me? I think so. I think so, man. That's just freaking great. I love that right there. He showed a picture today. I just was blown away. I just was like, it showed it from the side. Let me get us back on the radio. Hey, everybody, we're back. This is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC. Sorry, I was a little fired up on the break right there. And I hope you guys are doing good. I hope you're enjoying this show. We were just talking about, we got this massive picture. You guys got to go and see it on the Walk by Faith Facebook page, but go check it out. There's a picture of the brain, the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere. You have two separate sides of your brain. You have two separate sides for a reason. And those two separate sides communicate with each other. And the healthier those communication pathways are, the more we'll spend on myelination, the more think about it. What is a demyelinating disease? One of them is multiple sclerosis, MS, a demyelinating disease. Well, if myelination is expensive, let's map this out for a second, because I think you guys would like this. Like, just to think about for a second, a demyelinating disease, and let's talk it through, and then we'll get to some of the articles that we got today. Because I think this is a cool idea. Let me see if I can get to my board here. Okay, let's take those few sentences right there. Myelination is expensive. Meaning, it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of resources, it takes a lot to myelinate those nerves. The brain has to decide, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to keep this nerve cell healthy? Am I going to spend what it takes? How about for my little kid? Like, let's say for my 1-year-old. Let's say my 1-year-old is getting fed juice cups, goldfish. I don't know how. 18 months, 2 years old. I don't know. It's been a while since whatever you get teeth, right? Like, what are we feeding these children? Are we feeding them goldfish and Pop-Tarts and donuts and all that sort of thing? Oh, maybe, right? Maybe that's what we're feeding them. We're feeding them processed crap. Now the brain is going to have to decide whether or not it's going to spend that resource on a myelinating a nerve so that it can communicate. The back of the brain can communicate with the front of the brain. Like the side of the brain can communicate with the other side of the brain. Like the cerebellum can communicate with the frontal lobe. Like these long pathways that have to happen inside the brain. Like movement, frontal lobe, cerebellum, frontal lobe, yes, back to the motor cortex. First, it's got to come into the sensory back part of the brain. That's occipital lobe and the parietal lobe that senses, and we're going to feed all that information into the sensory cortex. But then that sensory part of the brain's got to fire all that stuff to the frontal lobe, and then we got to make executive decisions in the front of our head, and then we got to move all that stuff back up to the motor cortex, because now I have to grab the pencil and I have to actually write something on the page, because I've got to move myself through that, and all of that stuff takes. Like these are long. Some of these are long strings. They're long pathways, and if I got long pathways, I need to myelinate them so I can send them faster, so I can make the action potential work, and I can protect that. I can protect that nerve. Now I'm the brain of a 2-year-old, and it's like, okay, you have a bank account. In your bank account today is $741 million. Just imagine it. It's not very many of us walking around that's got that in our bank account. But just for a second, imagine that you have $741 million in your bank account today. Are you going to worry for 1 second about how much supper is going to cost? No. Let's just pretend that we can imagine that, and let's just pretend for 1 second, dude, are we going to think twice about what supper costs? You're going to walk into a restaurant and look at the menu and actually look at the price of that filet and think to yourself, there ain't no way I'm spending $38 on a filet, right? Don't tell me I'm the only one that's ever done that. right? You look at it and you're like, I don't know. Maybe I ought not to spend that much money on the filet. If you've got $741 million, I promise you, you're not going to care about how much that steak is going to cost. You're just going to eat it. And if you don't like it, just eat another one. Or if you might eat two of them. You just be like, hey, let's just all have a filet, right? Because you're not going to worry about how much you spend if you've got plenty of resources to take care of it. Now, let's flip it and let's say that you only have $4 in your bank account today. Yeah, we've been there. Raise your hand if you've ever been there. Yes, I've been there too. I know exactly what that feels like to have $4 in your bank account. Yes. Okay, if you got $4 in your bank account, are you going to go eat a $38 filet tonight? Probably not. You're freaking out right now, probably. Like you're stressed out to the max. It's like, ugh, man. We probably ought not to. We probably ought to share. Maybe me and Leslie will just share something. I don't know. We got a credit card we could put it on. Can we borrow from tomorrow and then pay for it? How are we going to eat tonight? What are we going to do? Anybody got any free stuff? Maybe I'll go over to Mama's house and eat at her house because I can't afford to do anything with $4 in my bank account tonight, right? Okay, now let's just pretend for a second that you're the brain, and you know that myelination is expensive, and you know that protecting that, making that cell is expensive, and you've got. Let's just pretend for a second that you've got lots of resources. Like you're feeding that child, which is depending upon that myelination in order to make all of those pathways as healthy as possible because that child is running and playing and moving and learning how to talk and learning how to communicate with you and learning how to communicate with other people and learning how to climb a ladder and climb over a couch and shoot a basketball and throw a football and play a piano. And that there's a lot of stuff that's going on inside that brain, and that brain needs a lot of nutrition, right? But if that brain's got $741 million worth of nutrition, if that brain's got a massive amount of excess of nutrition, do you think it's going to be stingy at all as to how it's going to build those synapses and myelinate those nerves? No. It's going to say, dude, we're living in the land of abundance. We are living with massive amounts of resources. Let's just build it. Let's just take it. Let's build it. You got it. You got all the stuff you need. You got the fatty acids. You got the proteins. You got the complex carbohydrates. You got the things that you need. You got the low insulin levels. You've got all the things that you need to make just a picture perfect brain. Like you've got it right here. The brain's not going to think twice about it. But now let's take that same kid and let's feed them goldfish and Pop-Tarts and a bunch of crap, Dr. Peppers in their sippy cups and all kinds of stuff like that, right? Juices, just empty calorie, massive amounts of fructose apple juice. Let's just give them some apple juice and some orange juice because somebody told us that's good for them, which is hogwash. It's not. It's straight fructose. It's going straight to their liver. It's just like, ugh, right? It's the brain. Now, what do you think the brain might do about building all those synapses? What do you think the brain might do about myelinating all those nerves? What do you think the brain might do about what do you think the brain might do about the coordination between the cerebellum and the frontal lobe? It might change the way it spends its resources, right? It might be a different outcome if we're losing that nutrition that we should be getting to the brain. So a demyelinating disease is MS. Why? Why does the body demyelinate itself? Why does the brain do that? Maybe it doesn't have enough resources. Why is there a tie-in on MS and vitamin D? Why is there a tie-in on MS and where you live in relation to the equator? Why? What's the deal with that, right? Maybe those two things are related. Maybe the equator and vitamin D are related. Maybe that has something to do with sunshine And maybe we're low on vitamin D. So maybe when we're low on vitamin D, we don't spend the resources that it takes to keep those nerves myelinated, and then we end up with something like MS. And then we go to the doctor and they tell us that's just our genetics, and we got it from our genetics. And I'm like, yeah, you got it from your genetics. How in the heck else would you get it from? You got it from your genetics because your brain went to the map and it tried to figure out, all right, what am I going to do? I got the map of the whole entire body right here in that one nerve cell. I think I'll just read the owner's manual, but I don't have enough money to spend on that. So I'm just going to try to not do that because I got other things that it's going to take for me to be as healthy as possible to just survive the day, because I don't know how many more days I'm going to be able to survive at this level. So I think I'll just use the most important things. I'll spend my money on the most important things, and it's not that important if we have those myelinated nerves. Maybe that's the way that works. I'm not 100% sure, but maybe it is. Maybe that's the way it works. And maybe if we give ourselves better nutrition, we might have a better life. If we give ourselves better exercise, we might have a better life. And that's kind of the articles that I wanted to talk about tonight. I wanted to talk about starting with, let's see which one we're going to start with. What we were talking about last night, I think, we were talking about this mechanisms of psychiatric illness, and I'll try to get through that rather quickly, because we were talking about depression, right? And we're in inflammation. Depression fans the flames of inflammation, right? It's that depression fans the flames and feast on the heat. This was in the American Journal of Psychiatry, and this is what we were talking about this is why children also need an anti-inflammatory diet and supplements, because of the cytokines that are produced that cause the problems, right? I wanted to get down to this part, the gut microbiota, inflammation, and depression. The gut, I had this conversation today. One of the girls said, you just don't get sick very often. That's interesting. I'm like, and you see a lot of people. I'm like, yep, I do see a lot of people, but I don't get sick that often, especially since I quit eating sugar. Like, I can only think of one time, and that was the last few weeks that I had a little sniffle for a day or two in the last 30 months that I even felt bad at all. Like, because sugar changes what's going on in your gut. The gut-brain axis involves bidirectional communication between the central nervous system and the gastrointestinal tract. Alterations in the gut microbiome shape physiology through the contributions to inflammation, obesity, mood, and among other things. Remember, where we got this. This is that one from Spain, and no, this is Ohio State University, College of Medicine, from the American Journal of Psychiatry, November 2015, volume 172, number 11. Okay, the gut microbiome. Depression promotes intestinal permeability, a leaky gut. Increased systemic inflammation, targeting the gut-brain axis, benefits of vagus nerve, spinal cord, and neuroendocrine system. Prebiotics and probiotics are those things that help us in those areas, right? Diet plays a key role in the gut's microbiome composition and thus represents a potential therapeutic avenue. There we go. There's our spontaneous healing that we will get, right? A potential therapeutic avenue. What are we saying? You got little bugs that live inside your intestines. That's the microbiota. That's what we're talking about, the microbiome. You got little bacteria and viruses and fungi and those sort of things that are living inside your gut. And when you feed them refined carbohydrates, you grow the bad bacteria in your gut. The crackhead bacteria that are living in your gut grow whenever you give them the bad food, the refined carbohydrates, the quick sugars, the simple sugars. Those things is what feeds that microbiome, the crackhead part of it. And I don't mean, I'm not coming at anybody with that. I'm saying like the delinquent, the that's not even the right word either. The bad bacteria. I'll just say that. The bad bacteria. You got good bacteria, you got bad bacteria. You've got way more good bacteria than you have bad bacteria, and that keeps them in check. When you need the bad bacteria for a few things, but you don't need very many of them. You just need them to, like, hey, Just do your job and just stay in control. But you don't want to feed those dudes and let them get out of control, because now they'll start causing havoc in your gut. And when they start causing havoc in your gut, this communication between the central nervous system and the gastrointestinal tract, that's where your nervous system, that's where your brain starts getting involved, because you're hijacking that vagus nerve that's going from your gut into your brain. And now you're going to start to tell your brain, you're going to report back to your brain, I need more sugar. I need more stuff. I need to eat more bread. I need to eat more pasta. Would you please give me some more pizza? Would you please give me some more refined carbohydrates? And now we're just going to start causing all kinds of problems, not only in our gut. And remember, they say somewhere around 80% of your immune system is in your gut. So you're going to start, you've got immune system function. You got immune system function that's going on in your gut. So if that's part of that whole microbiome, right? So the processed foods and the lack of exercise and the lack of sleep and the concentration on our phones, those are the things that decrease the overall health of the microbiome. Okay? Those are things. Sleep, right down here, disturbed sleep doubles one's risk of depression. It said, I didn't even know that was on there. Disturbed sleep doubles one's risk of depression. Sleep loss stimulates production of pro-inflammatory cytokines. Also, heightened inflammation disrupts sleep regulation. Heightened inflammation disrupts sleep regulation. There it goes back to your juices. Go listen to Dr. Lustig talk about Sugar the Bitter Truth on our website, therockhealthandwellness.com. Go to videos, listen to Dr. Lustig, or just go to YouTube and just put in and search Sugar the Bitter Truth and listen to Dr. Lustig. You could probably listen to about 500 hours of Dr. Lustig talking about metabolism and metabolic disease and fructose and all of those things, right? And listen to him talk about that, and listen to him explain to you why orange juice, Dr. Pepper, and Maker's Mark whiskey are the same thing to the liver. So, what would happen if we were to feed our children or ourselves a bunch of refined fruit in the form of a juice, which is straight up fructose, which is straight inflammation, inflammatory to the liver? Heightened inflammation disrupts sleep regulation. I bet you that little kid's not going to sleep as good. That child is going to have trouble sleeping. If that child has trouble sleeping, how do you think that child's going to act in school? How do you think that child's going to act during the day? How do you think that 2-year-old or that 3-year-old is going to act if their sleep is disrupted? Right? Their sleep. And plus, remember, how do we learn things? All that stuff that I learned today and I studied all day today. You know why? You know when I'm going to learn it? Go back to Dr. Huberman. Listen to Dr. Huberman talk about when you learn things. When do you actually learn what you studied? At night when you're asleep. You take your brain, my brain highlighted things all day long. My brain was sitting there highlighting ideas and thoughts and words and sentences, and it was going through my day, and it had this picture running through all those synapses. That one neuron that's just as powerful as my computer, that one neuron, times 30 billion, inside my head, they were all paying attention to all that stuff that was going on today, and they were making little highlighter marks. And then tonight, when I go to sleep, and they don't have anything else to do except run my body and, control my temperature and digest my food and make new bones and blood and muscles and all the rest of that stuff that it does in the middle of the night. But it's resting. In the middle of the resting night, my brain is going to go back and it's going to highlight all those things it's going to go look for all those little highlighted things that I said. And it's going to, because those are the ones that are important, and it's going to sew them into the neurology. It's going to just say, bring them in. It's going to fuse them into the neuronal pathways that are in my brain. And that's when I'm going to learn. I went to bed last night. Apparently the game was fabulous. It came down to the last play. And I saw number 8. I watched it this morning when I woke up. I saw number 8 for the Ravens do his little spinning around, do the deal. Got to make a play, made a play, throw it, touchdown in the end zone. Foot's on the line, toe just barely on the line, and they lost the game. You know where I was when that happened? I was in bed asleep. I was in bed asleep. Why? Because I didn't want to miss yesterday's learning by missing sleep last night. So I told Leslie sometime, I think in the second quarter, I got to go to bed. I got to go to bed. I got a long day in front of me tomorrow. I want to be rested, make sure that I can get that new information, and I want to make sure that I get to sleep so that I can absorb all the stuff that I learned today. And I'm going to do it again tonight too, because it's going to be super important for me to learn that stuff. I got to go to sleep. Now, if sleep right here, heightened inflammation disrupts sleep regulation, what about your child that's in 4th grade? What about your grandchild? What about yourself? What about your spouse? What about sleep? It's super important, right? Diet as a road to depression and inflammation. Healthier diets are linked with lower risk for depression. Studies indicate that healthier diets offer protection against the development of depressive symptoms and depressive disorders. Yes, that's true, because where does depression come from? Where does depression come from? It comes from either underactivation of the right hemisphere or overactivation of the left hemisphere. That's where you get your anxiety and your depression. Mostly, overactivation of the right hemisphere and underactivation of the left hemisphere. I think I said that wrong. Overactivation of the right hemisphere is anxiety. The right hemisphere does a lot, and it is the wise master, but it also is always looking for the negative. It looks for the thing that could go wrong. That's what the right hemisphere does. It looks for the thing that could go wrong. And if you're always looking for the thing that could go wrong, you get depressed. So if you have increased right hemisphere activity, you're going to get depressed. Or if you have low left hemisphere activity, and now your low left hemisphere is down here, now you're going to get depressed because nothing is telling that right hemisphere to hush, because the left hemisphere is not firing through that beautiful corpus callosum that we just looked at. This left hemisphere is low, and this right hemisphere is now by default higher than the left side. That's what we do in neurofeedback. That's what they were talking about for the last 2 days. Like, one of the things that we would do in neurofeedback is try to set the treatment plan to upregulate the left hemisphere and downregulate the right hemisphere just a little bit. Retrain the brain to get the left hemisphere back up to where it's supposed to be. By teaching, I'm not going to get into it tonight, but that's what we would try. That's what one of the things that we would try to do, right? And how does that pathway fire? How do we know? How do we talk about? What do we talk about all the time on this show? We talk about the pathway firing from the right side to the left side. Get it up and over. Get it out of that right brain. Get it moving. Well, what disrupts that pathway? Bad food. What helps that pathway fire better? Healthy food. Good proteins, grass-fed animals, good proteins, making sure that you got good fats. That's what all those guys talked about today. They talked about olive oil, they talked about fish oil, they talked about avocados, they talked about good fats. Eat them, get them in your body. Get them in your body to let your body build your brain properly. Those are things that help. And increasing your good fats decreases your inflammation. And right here, number 19, diet quality influences inflammation. The risk for depression increases with higher inflammation. Right? So, omega-3 fatty acids, I'm not going to get into that tonight. Exercise. Considerable evidence supports the value of exercise in treating depression and preventing its onset. It may be the number one thing for depression, is to move your feet. I think probably if you're feeling down, if you're just not happy with life, if you could adopt the idea that I think I'm just going to walk myself to health. I'm just going to walk myself to health, and I'm going to lift some weights. I'm going to increase my muscle mass, and I'm going to get on my feet, and I'm going to move, right? The physically active individual have lower levels of inflammation biomarkers than the sedentary counterparts. Reductions in inflammation provide one potential explanation for the antidepressive benefits of exercise. Yeah, the last one that right there is obesity. Depression promotes obesity, and obesity in turn promotes depression. A clear theme across research with omega-3 fatty acids, exercise, and cytokine antagonists is that anti-inflammatory interventions have substantially greater impact on mood in individuals with heightened inflammation. Anti-inflammatory treatment strategies. Anti-inflammatory treatment with NSAIDs is associated with increased risk for gastrointestinal bleeding, especially for older adults or those with use of alcohol, who use alcohol, and increase the risk of cardiovascular events. Anti-inflammatory treatments with NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, is associated with increased risk for gastrointestinal bleeding, especially for older adults or those who use alcohol, and increase the risk of cardiovascular events. Anti-inflammatory treatment with cytokine inhibitors reduces the ability to fight infection and increase the risk of death and reactive tuberculosis. That sounds lovely. And we've run out of time. We might have to carry this on, take this on to the next thing, but we've run out of time. Sorry. That was a lot of intensity right there. I hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday at 6 o'clock with Life with Jason Clemmons, DC. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Let me know if I can help you be healthier. You guys have a great night. Hey, Lewis, good to see you again. Thanks for listening to the show. You bet. Everything is good. Hey, our Red Raiders got a chance to make up for last week. So can't wait. And they're playing at 9 o'clock tomorrow night. So I'll have plenty of opportunity to get all my studying done tomorrow, and then I might have to record the game so I can watch the rest of it on Sunday morning before church. So